I think we also want you to go for lunch and also to go to their schedule. So we are going straight into closing. And for me, the talk by Kumba immediately made me to want to start here by paying tribute to Trust Africa, our host. We wouldn't have done it better without Trust Africa here. And this is why. We have the current board chair, Kumba Ture, who just spoke now. But we also have here the founding chair of Trust Africa. And I don't think in most meetings you can find those two in the same room at the same time. So thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Kumba. We also have former board members of Trust Africa. At least I counted 3. So there's Natalia Kanem, Janet Mawiyo, and of course, Akwasi Aidu is an ex-officio of the board. Again, that goes to show the strength that I think our host brings to this conference. But it doesn't end there. We have the founding director of Trust Africa, Akwasi Aidu. We have the current director, Ebrima Sal. And we have the second executive director of Trust Africa, Tendai Murisa. So that I'm not left out, you have also the founding, or rather the second programs director, myself, and then the current programs director, Briggs Bomba. So I wanted to really use this opportunity to thank Trust Africa, because if we were to also look at where, sorry, I made a big mistake. We also have the founding operations director, Rose Maruru. So I hope I haven't left anyone. Rose, I had your name here, so apologies. I was about to go straight into another issue. So I was about to say, and the reason why I thought of Rose immediately was, if you look at where Trust Africa colleagues, board members, and et cetera, have gone on to do other things in the philanthropic space, I think we have a powerhouse in the continent. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the different people who contributed to the different panels and sessions. So this year we also invited other organizations, in addition to the consortia members, to suggest and curate sessions. And I want to mention the Global Fund for Children, who worked very closely with the Global Fund for Community Foundations, with the Africa Philanthropy Network, Tilitonse Foundation, to curate a panel that looked on community philanthropy. I want us to thank them for that. The Global Fund for Children also sent us a session which was suggesting that they needed a specific corner that would be dedicated to the young Africans, the youth corner. And so we had the youth corner there. It was the first time that we experiment with something like this. And what we have learned is that in addition to having a youth corner there, we should also make sure that their voices also come into the main conference. And a young person said to me yesterday, would you be open to considering an award that can go to emerging young philanthropists? And I said, definitely we will have to consider that, because as Akwasi was saying, we will need the insight, the hindsight, as well as the foresight. So it's something that we'll be taking forward as the consortium and making sure that we make it happen. The Urgent Action Fund also curated a session jointly with Trust Africa. I also want to thank the different exhibitors. As you were walking out there, you saw so many things that were displayed there, and I'm sure you made so many connections from publishers all the way to designers. And it is our hope that wherever we go, we are able to actually bring the community to participate in different ways in the conference. So again, thank you so much for everyone who was exhibiting their different products. I also want to thank the keynote speakers, Mamadou Pite. I know he's already left, but we thanked him yesterday. Jerry Salo, who came in as a keynote speaker, but is leaving as our lifetime 23rd Achievement Awardee. Thank you so much, Jerry. We want to thank Natalia Kanem and Kumba Ture for really giving us some of the deep thoughts that we need to take forward as the consortium, but also as the sector. I also want to thank the minister. I mean, most of us were listening very carefully to what the minister was saying, and the kind of nuance that she made in terms of just describing what philanthropy ought to look like or what it is was just mind-blowing for me. Somebody who teaches philanthropy, I never thought of it in that manner. And so I really took something out of the speech that was given by the minister. I also want to thank, I think the kind of participation, but also commitment that we got from artists, Yusundo, Baba Mal, Aita, Beretta, Eskila, and the moderators. I think, if we had time, we would have invited moderators to, give some summaries of what was going on in the different sessions, but we don't. But I really want to take this opportunity to thank the moderators, because to really put everything together and manage the different views is not an easy task. So thank you so much, moderators. And of course, thank you so much to all the speakers. Some of you sent in your abstracts, especially those that spoke at the academic conference. Others also sent in their abstracts for this conference. Some were suggested to approach you, and you all made your way here and made lasting impacts. And so we really want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts as the consortia. Thank you, speakers. The facilitators, it's not a tough task to facilitate. I can see this, what I would say it's not an easy task, but I just want to say thank you for taking the time, for managing the proceedings over a 3-day, proceedings. Like I said, I just made a mistake there. It's not easy. We understand. Thank you so much to both facilitators. And also thank you very much to our MCs for yesterday's gala dinner. Thank you for also facilitating the event. I know that I could go on thanking everyone, the interpreters, the consortium members, but I also want to invite my colleague Eprima to officially give his reflections, but also close the conference on our behalf. Eprima. Okay.
Thank you. I think the first person I want to thank is Becky Moyo. Becky has been a brother over many years, a colleague, and since we started doing this, organizing this series of conferences, I think the yeah, the relationship is getting even stronger and deeper, and Becky and his team have been really, really so good to work with. The whole of the CAPSI team. We have Jacob in the room, Wycliffe, Tandy, Ndunga, and all of them, and Professor Milford Soko, of course. So really, thank you so much. Thank you for the conversations were so intense. Of course, as you know, you begin having meetings every month, and then it becomes every 2 weeks, and then it becomes every week, and then it became every day over a certain period of time. So thanks Becky, for co-facilitating this, and for being the chair of the programs committee as well. I want to also thank the facilitators again, at this time with the names Khalil and Tarisai and Misha and Umi, for yesterday's great performance. It was so good. We had, if it is a repetition, I think it was not a bad one. Our guests, guests of honor, beginning with Natalia, who is here in the room with us. We really can't tell you how much we appreciate your taking time to travel all the way and spending this time with us here. Director General of a huge institution, a global institution, you to find a slot for anybody, 30 minutes of your time is, just something nobody can put a price on. Thank you so much. And on top of that, also being a keynote speaker and giving us, the kind of speech you delivered, that was really great. The other guests, of course, we have been mentioned. Some of them, the minister has been mentioned. We've had Baba Mal taking the time to come here. Yusuf Nur came yesterday, even sang for 2 minutes. We had, of course, Professor Milford, I mentioned just now. The DVC, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Sheikh Anta Diop University, was at the academic conference. He opened it, Professor Mam Sambo Mbaye. We've had in the room here, Pendambo, former minister, Madam Cham, Marema, these are great personalities in Senegal and globally. And we really want to thank them, and again appreciate the ministers taking time to be here. The Vice Chancellor of UCAD just called a few moments ago. He had a last-minute engagement. That is what prevented him from coming, but he was planning to be with us at this global ceremony, and he sent his greetings to everyone. I want to thank also the award committee. I think that's one committee that needs to be mentioned again, and Sarah for being an excellent chair of the committee and for doing the work we have done here. All the committee members were listed here yesterday, so to save time, I wouldn't go back to all the names again. The organizing committee, I think Becky has mentioned it. The collective, the 6 organizations that were involved: African Policy, African Philanthropy Forum, African Philanthropy Network, CAPSI, Southern Africa Trust, Eastern Africa Philanthropy Network, with, of course, Evans, is Stigmata, is Becky and his team, is Raymond and Alice, is Mosun, and all their teams, who were in the, when we had these meetings monthly, weekly, they were online. So this was going on. So it's not only the people who came here, the teams were on board, in, Trust Africa staff in full, Trust Africa, and all the people of these different organizations were in the meetings, and which was just very good. So those who contributed to this event are really a lot of people to name. Our partners, we had a number of organizations who actually co-curated, co-organized panels and sponsored people to be here. We began by putting names on the program. In the end, we said no. We just put the programs there. They played roles, different roles, and then we will find a way of acknowledging them at the end. But I just want to list a few of them. I may be leaving out some. With Urgent Action Fund that has been mentioned, we organized that Nana and her team, and Achino, the board chair herself, chaired a session this morning. We organized that whole, series of conversations related to feminist and Pan-African philanthropies. It's something we need to go. And Leila, of course, is part of that team. The Senegal Family Foundation, Ivan and Susan, the Global Fund for Community Foundations, SA, by the way, Becky, of course, is one of the names you forgot, Trust Africa. SA is the one who was leading the Kisi Trust Fund in the Delta of Nigeria, together with Ogo. They built it up literally, and is now here representing the Global Fund for Community Foundations. They were a co-organizer of some of the panels. And the Global Fund for Children, together with Trustan and a number of other organizations, were also, sponsoring panels, supporting people to be here, and many others. I think the comms teams need to be given special recognition. The comms teams of the different organizations, coordinated by Abdawan here and Letu from Strack TV. But it's everyone else. It's Rachel. It's all those who are in the different organizations who are, really very actively, involved in the communications activities and communication about the conference in so many different ways. And the IT teams with Fatoumata, of course, leading them, and other people in the other organizations as well. The interpreters have mentioned. Thanks really for helping us out, and apologies for extending the sessions indefinitely sometimes. It's not easy to do that. The technicians who've been helping us, they include Hexagon, who was Angelo and his team, and the event coordinator, Bige, and her team, Africultural. They all really did a marvelous job in getting us here. The hotel administration we need to thank for the service, the quality of the service they helped us with. I think I'll just, maybe end by thanking also my own colleagues of Trust Africa, who we, kept on their toes for, all this time. Beginning with Briggs, who was involved in all kinds of ways, and from not only involvement in the program, but also in the organization, in the logistics, and all that. There's, of course, Aita. Now, you talked about the first operations director. The most recent current operations director is Aita Sar, who joined us just a couple of weeks ago, who hit the ground running and was very active in the organization as well. We've got Albert, the driver, Senam, who joined here was here for us and an internship, and we got to do all kinds of things. We need to thank her. Want to thank Ndey Hadi, Ibrahim, Yusuf, Fatoumata, of course, I mentioned Fakumba, Beatrix, who came all the way from Malawi to be with us. I mentioned Ogo, Isa, and the finance team is Isa, Ibrahim, and Yusuf. Michelle has been not only doing the emceeing, she has been actively involved in the organizing all the way from the start. Tendisai and Hakima, not Hakima. Hakima is here. Thank you, Hakima, for coming. Black Feminist Fund. But Halima as well, Halima Mohammed, who didn't come but was involved in the organization all the way. Tendisai and Halima were part of the thing from all the time. And they were not able to join us, but they are with us in spirit, and they were really very active in the preparation. And of course, the person who was serving as the secretary to the organizing committee is Rugiatu. We've been seeing her everywhere. And I really want to say special thanks to you, Rugiatu, also, for what you're doing. Yeah. I may have forgotten some names, but whoever I forgot, it's not because it's not an appreciation of your contribution to this whole thing, but it's because it's beginning to be long. And I also want to say that, I said this at the opening, we really appreciate the fact that our partners from the big foundations have taken time to be with us here. All the way they've been involved. Some of them actually in some of the initiatives we have been talking about. The OSF people are present here in a large number. Sarah, you've seen, you've heard, chairing the award committee, playing an active role. Ibrahim Aydara was moderating the session. Ibrahim Nyang is here. And a number of other people from the Open Society Foundations have been with us. The Ford Foundation is supporting this initiative, has been with us all the way. We have so many other foundations, Senegal I mentioned, but cannot name them. There are just so many. that we really appreciate your presence. Jakumba, Jasana, couldn't come, is supporting this. Intellectually, she was part of the conversation, part of the preparation, contributing actually even to the funding of the event itself. And all those who have been supporting us. We really appreciate the support. And the presence of our partners from the Africa-Europe Foundation. Thank you, Andre, for coming. Jerry, for all the work you're doing to remind them all the time that, look, these things make sense only when we do them together and when we think beyond what, is within our, vicinity, and to learn to understand that actually our perspectives are not the only ones, and that they become better and enriched when we, confront them with those of others, and when we learn to work together. Which is why we also have Marcia here, Marcia Thomas, and Mark Rand coming all the way. Marcia, the song "We Are the World" was actually, absolutely meaningful, ahead of the times. That song, done in solidarity with Africa, and nowhere in the title of the song would you say this is about Africa. Because that the spirit was not saying we are going to help the Africans. They were saying, hey, look, we are the world. And so, thank you really for being here and for reminding us of that thing. So I can go on and go on and on, but I just want to say just two or three things just to close, not to take too much time. I think what we will take time to reflect on how it went. There have been lapses here and there. Time management sometimes was a big challenge. Logistical issues, some of the things related to the environment, it became easier when we were here in Saly. So we apologize for all the shortcomings that there are, and there are many, I'm sure, for all the mishaps and all the complications. But we'll reflect on that. And whoever wants to give us feedback somehow, send an email, WhatsApp message, text message, tell us what you think we could do better. And then we will take that on board as we prepare for the next ones, because that is what is going to happen. We are already beginning to think about the 5th and the 6th and the 7th and the 10th and the 20th African Philanthropy Conference. This thing is not going to stop. Yeah. And we want to make them better every time. Yeah. So please share your views and your appreciation of what we could do better, what went well, and what we could improve upon. We have structured the panels in a particular way. Some people definitely needed more time to explain better. In a few instances, the reaction was, hey, this actually could have been even a keynote speech, and that we know we could have done. But we will take that on board, and it's good that I think people got something from those presentations. I think it would be good to get something from this conference as well. When we are planning, we actually wanted to make sure that all the panelists prepare this thing so seriously that we can get several publications from this. All the panelists, that was their mission. We actually even thought that we would be able to get enough funds to give a small incentive, financial incentive, to all the panelists to write up their papers, to be able to, so that we can get something. Because at the end of the day, you can have, tweets and Facebook messages and so on, but what they remain are what we see here. That book, Helping to Give and Giving to Help, was done like 10 years ago now, right? It came out in 2013. And it is still a book that people want to go back to and read, A tweet message doesn't last that long. You can tweet about this conference, but we want to find ways of capturing the issues and bringing them out in a form. And the traditional way of getting messages out in a book form, I am carrying that from probably my previous life, and I think I'll carry it for the rest of my life, because I think it's still very valid, which is why we are having this academic conference as well. So I hope that we'll get the text. We have some of the text of the keynote speeches, but please, Jerry, Natalia, Akwasi, if you have time to go back to your text, anything you want to add to it, otherwise just send it to us as they are. If you don't have time to write it up, if it wasn't written up, we'll go back to the recordings and probably find a way of transcribing them and sending them back to you, because we want to put them together. I think it will be good to put them together. And if anybody here wants to contribute or has the time to write up some of the interventions you made in a parallel session or in a plenary session, please send it to us, and then we'll compile them. So we have at least one very good volume from this, which will be a way of marking. The theme was great, philanthropy at an inflection point, and I think we've addressed it in a very, very, very good way and a very powerful way, and that we shouldn't lose. So please, I think that will be very good. There'll be a report, of course, of this conference. that will be we've got some rapporteurs who've been taking notes. We'll compile a report and bringing it out. To conclude, this has been absolutely wonderful. We are really, really, really grateful that you've taken the time to be with us here. We want to thank everyone for your time, for your demonstration of your commitment to this, cause that we have, that we are all fighting, and that is to make sure that we don't allow, this world to go in any kind of direction that we don't understand or that we don't want. We want the world to be better and be better for everybody. And the presentations we had, including that of this morning, the keynote speech, is that actually there are things that we need maybe to pay greater attention to and to handle in much, much better ways. So what that tells me is that philanthropy generally, but certainly African philanthropy, needs to be much, much, much more imaginative going forward. It needs to be much bolder. It needs to be much, much, much bolder. And of course, it needs to be bigger. This community we are talking about, we have to make it a real, very strong community, because it is going to be one of the most formidable, actors of the change that we want to see happen, the creation of this future that we want Africa to have, and of course, there will be a contribution to making the world what we want it to be. So again, thank you all very, very, very much. Bon appetit for the lunch that we're going to have now. Safe travels back to wherever you're going back to. And we stay in touch, and because the struggle has to continue.